Hello and welcome everyone. So in this video we are going to cover the third part of the seventh chapter, that is transactions from designing the data intensive applications. So in this video we are going to cover the drawbacks of read committed and snapshot isolation, and we are going to see why we require serializability. So let's begin. So, in the previous videos of chapter 7, we have studied about read committed and snapshot isolation, and we have discussed how a read only transaction can see can work in the presence of concurrent writes, but we have totally ignored the issue of two transactions writing concurrently at the same time. So there are many kind of conflicts that can occur between concurrently writing transactions, and one of them is lost update. So let us understand what is a lost update. So if an application reads some value from the database, modifies that value, and write back that modified value again, so and if if two transactions do this concurrently, then this can result in a lost update. So let's take two example. We have transaction T1 and transaction T2. Transaction T1 first reads the value, updates the value, whereas it hasn't written back the modified value into the database, and at the same time transaction T2 comes and it also reads the value. So since T1 has not committed yet, so T2 reads the previous value only, and then let's suppose before updating the transaction T2, T1 commits the value, and then now T2 also commits the value. So it means that the any update which was made by transaction T1 is lost. So let's see what are the different scenarios which can result in lost update. So when we increment a counter or update an account balance, which is a common problem in banking, so this can result in a lost update. Or making a change to the list or a complex value can result in this scenario. As well as if two users are editing a wiki page at the same time, where each user saves their change by sending the entire page contents to the server, and it can result in overwriting whatever is currently in the database. So this is a very common problem, and a lot of solutions have been developed for this. So let's see what are the ways to prevent lost updates. So many databases provide atomic update operations which remove the need to implement any read modify write cycle. So they are the best solutions if our code can be expressed in terms of an atomic operation. But not all the writes can easily be expressed in terms of atomic operations. For example, when we update a wiki page, it can involve randomly text editing. So, in the situations where atomic operations can be used, it is the best choice. So, how an atomic operation is implemented? So, they are implemented by taking an exclusive lock on the object when it is read, so that no other transaction can read it until the update has been applied. This technique is also known as cursor stability. Or there can be other ways for atomic operations. So the code can be executed on a single thread, or an application can put on explicitly lock objects to prevent any lost updates. So for example, in a multiplayer game in which several players can move the same figure concurrently, so in this case atomic operation might not be sufficient, because we have to also abide by the rules of the game, which involves some logic that we cannot implement using some database query or some atomic operations. So these are the ways to prevent the lost update. Now let's see how can we automatically detect a lost update problem. So atomic operations and locks are ways to prevent lost update by forcing the read modify write cycle to happen sequentially in case of concurrently running transactions. So an alternative of them is to allow the transactions to execute in parallel, and if the transaction manager detects a lost update, then it will abort that transaction and it will force it to retry its read modify write cycle. So, an advantage of this approach is that the databases can perform this check efficiently in conjunction with snapshot isolation, but it is still argued that a data must prevent lost updates in order to qualify as providing snapshot isolation, and that is the reason MySQL does not provide snapshot isolation under this definition. So if you want to study more about snapshot isolation, you can refer to my previous video, and the link is in the description section below. So lost update detection is a great feature because it does not require the application code to use any other features, and we might also forget to use a lock or an atomic operation, and it can introduce a bug. So lost update detection happens automatically and is less error prone. And in the databases that don't provide transactions, we sometimes find an atomic compare and set operation. So the purpose of this operation is to avoid lost updates by allowing an update to happen only if the value has not changed since it has last read it. So if the current value does not match what we have previously read, the update has no effect and the read modify write cycle must be retried. So for example, if we want to prevent two users concurrently updating the same wiki page, we might try something like expecting the update to occur only if the content of the page hasn't changed since the user started editing it. And if the content has changed and it no longer matches the old content, it will update, it will not update. And we need to check whether the update took effect and if we want to retry if necessary. In the previous sections, we have studied about two of the race conditions, that is dirty writes and lost updates. These are the race conditions which can occur when different transactions concurrently try to write to the same objects. And in order to avoid the data corruption, those race conditions need to be prevented either automatically by the database or by some manual checks in the application or by using some locks or atomic write operations. So there are some other race conditions as well which we are going to understand with the help of example. So let's suppose you are writing an application for doctors to manage their on call shifts at a hospital. The hospital tries to have several doctors on call at any one time, but it is necessary that there should be at least one doctor on the call. Doctors can give up their shifts provided that at least one colleague remains on call in that shift. So now imagine that there are two users, Alice and Bob, and they are the two on call doctors for a particular shift, but both of them started feeling unwell, so they both decided to request for the leave. Unfortunately, they decided to click the button for the for going off call at approximately the same time. And each transaction, our application first checks that two or more doctors are currently on call, and if yes, it assumes that it is safe for the doctor to go off call because right now we are using snapshot isolation, and when a transaction begins in a snapshot isolation, it reads the state when it began, not of it does not read the state if any other transaction has committed in between. So when both the transactions of Alice and Bob begins their execution, they again read that the initial state was 2 when two doctors were on call. So both the checks return 2 and both the transactions proceed to the next stage. Now Alice updates her on record to take herself off call, and Bob also updates his on record likewise. So both the transactions commit, and now no doctor is on call. So the requirement of having at least one doctor has been violated. So this anomaly is called a write skew. It is neither a dirty write nor a lost update because the two transactions are updating two different objects. And if the two transactions had run one after another, the second doctor would have been prevented from going off call. So this anomalous behavior was only possible because of the transactions ran concurrently. So a write skew can occur if two transactions read the same objects and then update some of those objects, or a different transactions may update different objects. So there are various ways of preventing the lost update as we see in the previous slide. Now there are the ways to prevent the write skew is restricted because an atomic single object operation won't work as multiple objects are involved in a write skew. Also, automatic detection of write skew is not detectable as it requires true serializable isolation, which we are going to study in the next video. So now let's see what is the another race condition called phantom. So let us take another example to understand phantom. So let's assume that there are two users, Alice and Bob, who wants to book a meeting room. And when they search for all the available meeting rooms, they both find out that a meeting room X is available. and when they try to book at the same time, they end up booking the same room because of the snapshot isolation, and we have now two bookings for the same room. So if you see the two examples, that is the doctor on call and this meeting room, we see a similar pattern. What the pattern is, that a select query checks whether some requirement has been fulfilled, and it returns some result set, and based on this result set of the first query, the application code decides how it can continue. And if the application code decides to go ahead, like in case of doctors on call, it sees the result as that there are two on calls, and it sees that it is fine, one can go off call, and the third step it decides to proceed. And similarly with the meeting room, the first two users see that there is a meeting room available, yes, so the application code decides to proceed. And when the application code decides to go ahead, so it makes a write, either an insert, update, or delete to the database and commits the transaction. But the effect of this write changes the precondition of the decision of step 2. So in other words, if we are going to repeat the select statement from the step 1, our result is going to change. That is, our result of the step 1 has changed. So in order to avoid this, we can make the transaction safe by avoiding the writes queue by locking the rows in step 1. So this effect where a write in one transaction changes the result of search query in another transaction is called a phantom. So now let's see what we are going to understand in the next sections of the video. So in this chapter, we have seen several examples of transactions that are prone to race conditions. So some race conditions were prevented by the read committed isolation, some of them by snapshot isolation, but there were some other drawbacks of read committed and snapshot isolation like lost updates, writes queues, and phantoms. So why we need serializability? So isolation levels are hard to understand and they are inconsistently implemented in different database, and it is also difficult to tell from an application that which particular isolation will be safe to run, because we are not all the time aware that what things can happen concurrently in our application. Also, there are no good tools to detect the race conditions. So from the research it has been found that serializable isolation is the way to go ahead. But what is serializable isolation? So serializable isolation is usually regarded as the strongest isolation level, and it guarantees that even though transactions may execute in parallel, the end result is the same as if they had been executed one at a time serially without any concurrency. And right now, there are three ways to implement serializability. One is literally executing the transaction in a serial order, that is called actual serial execution. The next is two-phase locking, and the third one is serializable snapshot isolation. So in the next video, we are going to understand these three ways in detail. So in this video, we have seen what are the drawbacks of read committed and snapshot isolation. We have studied in detail what is a lost update problem, how can we prevent it, how can we automatically detect it. And we have seen other two race conditions as well, that is writes queues and phantoms. And we have learned that there is a solution to all these problems, that is serializability, and why it is needed and what are the different ways to implement it, which we are going to cover in the next video. So I hope you like the content of this video. Please subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends for more learning. Thank you.